right. All right. Fantastic. That looks very good. It seems like we're live. And I'm really excited to start this first YouTube live stream. I've never done this before. And in this live stream, what we're going to do is we're going to build a note-taking system in Tana from scratch. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. I think I'll give everyone a couple more minutes to show up and make it to the stream before we start in earnest. I sent out an email to my newsletter and posted on Twitter, so hopefully a couple of people will make it. I see a couple of people in chat already. Is Eli? Hi, Christoph. Good to see you. And yeah, I'm excited to start building this note-taking system. We're really going to go from scratch here. So I'm going to start with a completely blank workspace, nothing in there, no template, no nothing. And we're going to really build this system from scratch. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm not sure how long this stream is going to be. I'm expecting sort of an hour and a half, maybe two. But we'll see when we're finished. Maybe it also depends on like how deep we're going to go. What I'm building this off of actually is my TANARIAN brain system. So you can see that here, that's TANARIAN brain. So if you don't want to build along in reality and would rather just have it done for you, head over to cortexfutura.com /TANARIAN-brain. You can find the template here. It comes with a lot more than just note-taking stuff. And then yeah, we're going to build this off. I'm going to start in a couple of minutes with like a little bit of a preview or walkthrough of the thing that we're actually going to build. And yeah, then we're really going to go and build it from scratch. Jason, Jim, Simon, awesome. Canada, Germany, good to have you. Fantastic. This is really cool that so many people are here. So fantastic. Yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and start, and we're going to start with a quick preview of what we're actually building. So let me switch over here to the main view of Tana. So note-taking system build along, that's the completely new workspace that I've built. And what we're going to build is something that comes with TANARIAN brain, right? So we're going to build a little bit of a Zettelkasten system with nice views here. We're going to have topics and resources and concepts. We're going to have a bookshelf. I think we're also going to put a QCE workflow in here so that you can collect question, claims, and evidence. But yeah, we'll see. And I think we will have some time to build cool commands into the setup as well. So I think this is going to be really fun. And again, like if you want all of that, like everything that you see here on screen right now, you can get that through TANARIAN brain if you want. I am noticing that I'm missing two crucial apps. So one is Cursor Pro, Hopefully that is now visible. Yes. And then we want Keystroke Pro as well, so that you can actually see if I do special commands and stuff. I think that's Keyword Maestro. All right, cool. So now command space shows up. Fantastic. Escape. Let me actually switch the settings for this to appear. Where can I set the appearance? That was somewhere here. I do want to show all keystrokes, the appearance. There was. Maybe that. And I want bottom center. All right, and now if I do, yes, fantastic. Okay, so hopefully now you can see all my keystrokes as well, and we're going to head over back to the workspace over here. Simon, if you can't hear me now, telling you that you can't hear me is probably difficult. Others are saying that audio is fine. Hi to Washington, Glenn, Shantanu, awesome. Jim, good to see you. Awesome. It's really cool that so many people are here. Yeah, and please let me know in chat if audio isn't working for anyone. Might be necessary to tune up the volume, because like OBS tells me audio is good actually. Yeah, let me look at all right, cool. Audio is good. Okay, that is fantastic. Cool. Okay, so then we'll just get started, and hopefully people with audio issues can fix these, and maybe then later in the stream replay on YouTube you can hear it, if not right now. All right, so we're starting with a completely empty workspace, right? So let me switch to the plan, and let me make sure that I have the chat open as well. All right, cool. So we're starting with a completely empty workspace, and because we're going to have a daily note here, or a day super tag as well, so that we have daily dashboards, the first thing that we need to do is set up the day tag for this workspace. And we do this by going here to the workspace options and clicking that button, and that's going to create a calendar node and a day super tag. We're not going to go straight into configuring that right now, but instead we're going to sort of think through a little bit of what we will actually need for the system. So let me go back to the root node of the workspace here, and let's start by thinking through what we actually want, right? So what we want is a super tag for a source, right? Like if we want to take notes, we want a super tag for the thing that we take notes on. So that's probably the first thing that I would start with. So we're going to create a source super tag. And actually, let me fix that, because that is annoying. For Keystroke Pro, we want only with modifiers. That should be better. All right, so sources. We're going to go into different types of sources and that sort of thing later. But what we probably also want is a highlight, right? So something that we take from our source and that we then have here in our workspace. We probably also want a super tag to mark something as a note, right? So something that we have written that comments on whatever, right? So let's say we're going to, actually we're going directly into the Zettelkasten way of calling this a fleeting note, right? Like a fleeting comment on a certain thing. So fleeting note. All right, so I think that makes for a very bare bones note taking system, right? You have the thing that you're going to take notes on, you have a highlight, so the text that comes from that source, and then you have the thing that you say about that highlight or about that note. And with these three super tags, I think you're already well on your way to building a good system. So let's check. Let's go into making these super tags, right? So in this process that I've just started, right, in building out a super tag system, what I actually do is I think about the different types of super tags that I want. I just write them down as normal nodes, right? And then I turn them into super tags that I'm working with. If you hear my dog in the background, no worries. My wife just came home and he's very excited. And yeah, so let's turn these nodes into super tags. So what you can do with any node is you can select it, and if you hit Command K and type convert to super tag, that's going to convert the nodes that you've selected into super tag nodes, right? So hitting enter, now I have a source super tag and I have a highlight super tag. And once again, to follow along, Command K, convert to super tag, hit enter, and now I have a super tag. These super tags will be put into the schema node, right? So here we now have year, week, day, and then source, highlight, and fleeting note. And if we select these, we get the standard table view that you get with any new super tag. Now, let's actually set up the source super tag first. So any source that you have, whether that is a book, a YouTube video, or what have you, usually has a title, right? So let's start with that. And we're going to create a new field here directly from the table overview of the super tag. If you want to make more detailed configurations, what you can also do is you can move over here to the configuration screen. And let me switch my image around here. And then you can create here in the template section also all the different fields. But for the basic setup, it's quite enough to just start with a couple of fields here and then configure these later. So we want a new field. We want a title, right? I think that makes sense for a source. What we also want, let me quickly check here. One thing that I like and that many other people really want is a way to configure the status of a source, right? Like, did I read that book? Have I watched that YouTube video? What have you? So we're going to create a source status field here as well. And then we're going to create a field for the topic that the source is about, right? I think that makes also sense. So let's create a topic field here. I'm using the pluralized in parentheses here because I hated when it's called topics but there's only one in there, and I also hated when it's called topic and there's multiple in there, so that's for me sort of the halfway point. But you can of course call this whatever you want. Now, right now, these 3 fields here are plain text fields, right? So there's no configuration going on. What you put in the here stays a normal node. So what we're going to do is we're going to configure the source status and the topics field next. But one great question that Glenn just asked in chat is, should fields live inside of a super tag or on the root level of the schema itself? And that really depends on the field. So the way I think about this is that I usually have a section, whether that's here or within the schema node, doesn't really make a difference, that is called generic fields, right? And the topics field, for example, I would move here, right? So if we take topics and Command K here, bring reference node here, now the topics field lives under generic fields. Why do I do that? Because I'm going to reuse the topics field in basically all the places, right? So a highlight is going to have specific topics, fleeting nodes and permanent nodes and what have you are going to have their own topics. And so when I use a field in different types of super tags, I'm going to put it in some place where I have generic fields. Can be in the schema, can be here, doesn't really matter where it is, just so that I have an overview of, okay, like these fields, when I change this, that's going to affect like a whole bunch of super tags, right? But for things where I have only that field, right? So for example here, the source status, that only is relevant for things that are sources, right? I'm not going to reuse the source status field in, I don't know, projects or anything else, right? So that for me stays in the super tag that it is linked to. Title, I probably would move, yeah, I'm not sure, but we're going to move title here into generic fields as well, right? So, and always, like, if you want to move a field from one location in your graph to the next, just put the create a field there, then put your cursor into it, hit Command K, and then bring reference node here, right? Like that's going to bring things in. Let me quickly. All right, so we have these 2 fields here. Those are now dedicated generic fields, right? Like I can use them in different types of super tags, but I also have here in the source super tag the source status field that I'm going to use only in that super tag. And you can, this is actually pretty neat, the source status, because it lives here, like it is a little bit, what's that called in English? Lilac? Purple is the name of this color. So the because the super tag is purple, right? Source status field here is also purple, whereas title and topics, because they live as generic fields somewhere else, they are gray. So you have sort of an overview of like, where does this field actually come from? Hey Faye, awesome to see you. Hey Richard, lots of Canadians, awesome. Right, so Adam is asking, is there a tricky way to use aliases or something to reduce source status to status, but have it stay a specific status for sources, just to reduce clutter? Not that I would know of, no. You can't sort of alias rename fields at the moment. I agree that that would be neat, right? Like if you could clean up the display name of a field in a super tag. But right now that's not possible. And the reason, and this is a great point to get to why I'm calling this source status, because you really want to have, like if I have a project status and a source status, I don't want to have the same field just called status, because in my experience that gets confusing really fast when I'm trying to use that field in a different context then or trying to search for it or what have you. It's really useful to have it be clearly named to what the status is of in that context. Awesome. Okay, so we were going to configure the source status field. So let's actually do this. And let me move my image. All right, cool. So source status. Field type, we're actually going to switch from plain to options. And we're going to use a couple of predetermined options here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to consider 3 different types of sources. Ones that you read, ones that you watch, and ones that you listen to. And we're going to make options for all of these. Because I think that makes it really neat to have a single source of truth for what the status is down the line as we introduce different types of sources. So let me do that. We'll have one to read option, and we have one to watch option, to listen, and reading and watching. And you can see I'm copying and pasting these in because you don't want to watch me type and like getting the emoji. But speaking of the emoji, in Tana you can get emojis here just by typing colon and then searching for the book, right? So for I want green book for red and video. What's that called? I don't know. Tape. I think this is tape. No? Videotape. I want videotape. So another reason to copy things in is that I don't have to search for the emojis. And listened. All right, so now I have a bunch of different options here for the source status, right? I can go in here and I can select all of these. Now, one cool thing that you can do, actually for sources, we might not actually need the title field. Yeah, let's remove that. I have that in Tanarian Brain because you can do fancy things with naming, with the, what's it called? Jesus, I should know this. Build title from fields. That's what you can use, and so having then the title can be useful in some cases, but actually for this we don't need it, so we're going to remove it. Okay, so now we have sources which have a status and or a topic, and so if we use Moby Dick here, right, I now have a new source, and I can select for Moby Dick to read, to watch, to listen, reading, or read. Now, one cool thing that you can do is, like, if I go to build title from fields and I say here name and then source status, right, I can have the field value here of the source status shown here in the name of the node itself, right? And that can be really cool. But I don't want always to have like red here. I sort of want to use the emoji as the icon that the icon alone communicates, okay, I've already read this. So how can we make this happen? This is a really, really neat trick. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the source status here again, and I'm going to indent a new field under each of these options, right? And I'm going to call that field icon, right? Making a new field here, and into that field, right? I've created the icon field that is indented under to read, and I'm putting here the icon that I have, or the emoji that I have at the top level here. And if I do that, and then if I go back here and configure the build title from fields, I can access that field from the title expressions for building the title from fields. And now if I select the to read here, we only see the emoji, right? And that's really cool. But we have to do that now for every option, obviously, because otherwise it won't find the icon value, right? So if I click to watch, you'll see it's looking for icon, but it can't find it. So let's put the icons into all of these fields. And this is again, copy paste. It's a sort of boring operation when you have to do this a bunch of times, and I hope it's not too boring to watch, but it is, I think, really worth the time because it makes it really nice. I just like having these little status icons and using these as indicators for how far along I am with any particular source. Right, so the red icon, and then we're almost through for watched. We need that as well. And for listened, we're going to do that as well. And because this is a generic field, what we're actually going to do is I'm going to go here and put the field here, and then bring reference node here so that the icon field lives under the generic fields. All right, so now you can see I can select any option here of the source status, and it's going to update automatically here in the title of the node itself, right? So if I click into this here, you'll see here is the emoji. So for the topics field then, actually let me check if there are any questions. Right, yes. Oh, right. Yes, the camera is probably a little bit too big. Let me switch to full screen only for a second here. And I'll see that I make this up. A little bit smaller. We're going to do that for this as well. I hope that's useful. Yeah. My face is not important. I totally agree. That is truth. You're here for the Tana insights, not for looking at my face. So I hope that is better. If you want me to change this more, let me know in the chat. I can also switch to more full screen stuff as well. Awesome. All right, where was I? Topics. Yes. So the next thing that we're going to do is create a topics field, or configure the topics field. And for that, we're actually going to introduce a new super tag, which is the topics super tag, right? So we want to have topics. You can call this a resource if you want to follow the para method from Tiago. I prefer topic, and actually we're also already going to create a concept super tag, and we're going to deal with that in just a second, but for now we're going to configure the topics field. So here we're going to switch the field type from plain to instance, and then we're going to take the topic super tag as the instance super tag. I don't think I want to set anything here right now. No, I think we're good. All right, so Moby Dick is about whaling, and so we can now tag that as a topic automatically, and we are done. For the topic super tag, one thing let me quickly check my notes here. Do I want Yeah, I think what we're going to do here is that for topics, we're going to configure this. That's what I want. We're going to configure the topic super tag here through the menu, and what we're going to create is a live search that for each topic pulls in everything that where that is one of the topic field values, right? So I'm going to create a new live search here. Create a search node, and we're going to look for anything where the topics field is parent, right? And I'm going to call this material for now. And if I now go to whaling, we have here a live search that pulls in Moby Dick as a source that has the topic whaling, right? And just like with these, I don't know, we've spent basically half an hour, but most of that has been me explaining and talking. Just with these couple of steps, right? We have now already a pretty powerful system here for collecting sources and saying how far along we are in our journey with them, right? Like what's our status with that particular source, and connecting them to topics. One thing that I like to do is I like to split topics into also concepts. So the concept super tag for me actually extends the topic super tag. And the reason for that is some topics are concepts, but not all. No, all concepts are topics, but not all topics are concepts, right? So whaling is a concept, right? Like that's a thing. Whaling, it's an idea that is instantiated in some circumstances, and whaling is a topic. But the history of whaling in the 19th century, that's not a concept, right? Like that is more a overarching topic, right? And so having that split I find really useful because it allows me to connect concepts to each other, and we're going to do that in just a second. But it also allows me to differentiate out the bigger overarching topics that there are. And I quite find that quite useful. Let me check the chat again. Where are we at? Awesome. Okay. I hope the image is okay right now. Some people are saying it's great. Others maybe want it smaller. I can make it smaller if you want. Please let me know in chat whether that would be good. Okay. So we have sources, we have topics, we have concepts. Let's actually wire up concepts really quickly in a useful way as well. And what I like to have, whoop, that's not what I wanted. Just checking my notes here. What we're going to do for concepts in particular, as I was saying, is that I want to be able to say one concept is part of another concept, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to create a field part of, and we're going to make that an instance field of concept, right? And so if I have consequentialism as a concept, right? So I can make that part of philosophy, right? And now I have a concept philosophy, I have a concept consequentialism, and here as well I'm going to create a live search for the concept super tag that I'm going to call contains, where I'm going to put a reference to the part of field, and here what we're actually going to do is components rec and then parent. And the cool thing about this is that now if I select the part of field here and go to advanced and select field has semantic function part of, I can find across multiple level things that have these recursive part of relationships, right? So what's part of consequentialism? I don't know. We're going to make that up. Lorem ipsum is part of consequentialism. And now if I go to philosophy and look at contains, both consequentialism and lorem ipsum show up as concepts, right? Even though there's no direct one-to-one relationship between lorem ipsum and philosophy, and that relationship works through consequentialism, they still show up here in the contains live search query. And that I find extremely useful for things like concepts. Let me take a sip of water here while I'm checking the chat. All right. Seems like there are no questions right now, so we can continue. If you have questions, of course, always put them into the chat. Very happy to answer questions, as I have been doing. All right, so let's zoom out a little bit again. We have a source field. We have topics and concepts. And we have a status for each source. The next thing then is highlights, right? The thing that we're extracting out of every source that we're dealing with is a highlight. So that's what we're going to focus on next. And highlights for our purposes here have a source field, right? Every highlight belongs to one single source. And we're going to create that, and this is actually going to be an instance field for the source super tag. And then what we want for every highlight as well is a topic. So we're going to reuse our topics field, right? And that's all there is really to setting up a highlight. What you can do, what I have in TANARIAN Brain actually, is that every highlight also has an author field that inherits from the author of the source. I find that sometimes useful, especially if you do more academic work, having that really directly associated with every highlight can be quite useful, I think. And then a location field where you put in the page number, for example. Actually, let's add at least that. So here you can put in page 123 500, so that you always know where something comes from. And what we can also do here is configure this so that the highlight itself is clear and the source too, right? So if I add a new quote in here, let me actually pick one up from somewhere. Actually, let's be really sneaky and jump into the demo again. And we're going to look at the bookshelf and how to take smart notes. I think I have some quotes here. We're going to build all of that, no worries. So if I copy that over and cheat here a little bit, I can put that here. So I now have some highlight text and how to take smart notes by Sönke Ahrens, a fantastic book. That book. This is interesting. Okay, this is a good teachable moment. Right now you see here, okay, how to take smart notes doesn't show an icon, right? Why is that? The reason this happens, even though we have set status icons for every one of these statuses, is that we don't have a default source status defined. And that means that the source status field is empty, and the title expression that we've set up here is it can't find any icon, right? Because there's no value in the source status field. So to fix this, what we can do is we're going to set the default to read, and that will always show us then this icon here. All right, so we have a highlight, we have a source, we have a different, we have a topic, so we're going to use Zettelkasten here and tag that as a topic. And the location, just to demonstrate what's going on here, the location we're going to set to, I don't know, page 75. I don't know what the actual pages this is on, but now this is the information that we have about each highlight, right? And if we zoom in, we have a lot of text, but you can see here, source, how to take smart notes, Zettelkasten as the topic. And here, how to take smart notes has the source status that we can set. We can link it to topics, so the source also has Zettelkasten as a topic. And here, what I usually have, and I think what we're going to set up in just a second, is a couple of live searches for every source as well. All right. Good. All right. So what do we have so far? Let's recap really quickly. We have sources, we have highlights, we have topics, we have concepts. Now let's set up fleeting notes really quickly. Fleeting notes in the way that I use them in this context have really just a topics field, right? So we're going to add the topics here as well. In TANARIAN Brain, I also connect this to different questions and relate it to other things, and we can see whether we want to set that up for this example as well. Again, let me know in the chat if you want me to cover anything in particular. All right, so now we have built out the minimum viable system, if you want, right? So if I go to the today tag here, or for today, you see we have sources, we have concepts, we have highlights. What we don't have yet is authors. We can set that up for the sources as well. And yeah, actually, let's do that. All right, cool. So Adam says he would love to hear more about my philosophy on some of the structural decisions being made. So sort of the why in addition to the how. And very happy to do that. To do so, of course. Let me actually switch to full screen here for a second. So in the system that we've built so far, we've started with the source as the fundamental unit of knowledge, if you will, or fundamental unit of or class of thing that we're dealing with, right? For note taking, I think, and I mean, maybe this goes a little bit back to my background in academia. When you have to cite things a lot, like who wrote something, where something is from, any quote, every insight that you have is really important, right? And that's where, for me, in note taking, everything starts with the source, right? Like if I take something from this book, or I don't know, what else do we have here? So these are sort of both about war in some way. So the Iron Kingdom, Rise and Downfall of Prussia, from Christopher Clark. Fantastic book if you want to understand the history of Prussia and how things led up to the Second World War. Highly recommend this book. And this book here, German Warriors, is not available in English as far as I'm aware, but is like a really close look at how the image of the German soldier has changed over time. Both fantastic books. Now, if I read these and take notes on these, the thing that I start with is the book, right? Like that's sort of that's the thing that connects the highlights and my thoughts, right? Like that's the nexus of all of that. So that's why I'm starting with a source, and we're going to build different types of sources in just a moment. For me, then, when I think further along those lines, my activity is reading, right? And then I start highlighting. And so that's why I want a highlight tag, right? I have a source, I have a highlight, and every highlight belongs to a source. And if I later want to find all the relevant highlights for a certain thing that I want to write, or if I want to understand something more deeply, I want to connect these highlights to topics, right? That's where the topic super tag comes in. And then one level down from that, as I was mentioning earlier, topics can be overarching, right? Like the history of the, or like the image, the changing image of the German warrior across time, right? Like that's a topic, but others are more detailed concepts, right? Like what does warrior mean as a type of concept, right? Like that's something that I want to take care of and understand and find instances of, right? So that's why I'm splitting topic, or that's why I'm splitting out concept from topic, right? And so I have sources, I have highlights, I know what these highlights are about. And then of course I have my personal thoughts about the thing that I highlighted, right? And that for me goes into fleeting notes, just like unformatted, just dumped into there. This is what I think as I'm reading this. And from there I connect to other things, right? So from there I'm linking to concepts that also come to mind. From every fleeting note has a topic. I'm dealing with that, and over time I'm building a connected system of these things, but it all starts at the source for me. I hope that makes sense. Let me quickly go back here. So again, right, like we have the source, we have the highlight, topic and concept, and then fleeting notes. So far for basic structural makeup and why I'm building that. Awesome. What we've built so far is a generic source type, right? And one of the fantastic things about Tana is that you can actually extend super tags through other super tags, right? So instead of having a generic source, I can have books and movies and podcasts, for example, right? And the cool thing is books, movies, and podcasts have some attributes that are shared among them and some that are different, right? Books have authors, movies have directors, for example, right? And podcasts have podcasters, I guess. And so what I think I'm going to do next is we're going to introduce a couple of different source types to sort of see how that works in practice. So let me introduce these here. So we have book, we have movie, and we have podcast. And what I'm going to show you is in TANARIAN Brain, I have a whole bunch of different types here. Let me go in here. Types of sources. So in TANARIAN Brain, we actually have journal, article, book, chapter, video, podcast, episode, bill, case, letter, document, instant message, email, what have you, right? Basically what I did for you is I went through all the different types of sources that Zotero, which is like a academic reference management system, has. And I put all of these, manually configured all of these in Tana. Most people are not going to use even like half of these different types. But I think it's good to have these, right? So that if you use them, they're already there and you don't have to configure them yourself. And yeah, so there's a bunch of these. We're not going to set these up manually in the example that we're doing here. But I wanted to show you, you can go really nuts with this if you want. We're not going to go that far. We're going to just create 3 different types. So again, we have 3 nodes here: book, movie, podcast. Selecting these, Command K, convert to super tag. Boom, we have 3 more super tags. Awesome. Now, whoop, that was not what I wanted. One thing that's interesting maybe is if you single click a super tag, it takes you to the table view. But if you command click on Mac. No, was it Command Shift? Yes. So Command Shift on Mac and Control Shift on Windows opens up directly the configuration menu if you want that, so you don't get taken to the table view. So book extends source. Movie extends source, and podcast extends source. And you see, by extending the source podcast, all of these new super tags, podcast, book, and movie, they all get all the fields and their settings that already exist in the source super tag. If I now create a author field here, that is, did I have that already? No. That is shown in the book super tag, but if I open up a podcast or a movie, those won't have the author field, right? So let me configure that. Author. Yeah, so we now need a new super tag. Author. Convert to super tag. And the author field is an instance field of the author super tag. Good. What else do we want for book? I think one thing that is useful to have, actually, let's configure the author super tag first. So author has, we're going to put a live search here. Going to call that just wrote. Because if we select, or if we call this books written, then it's not true if it's a article or something else. So I'm going to, for author, I'm just calling the live search or the query wrote, where the author field is parent, right? And now if we go to sources, and Moby Dick, we're actually going to tag as a book. Interesting also to note, now Moby Dick is tagged both as source and book, right? And if I, that means the author field here gets added. If I remove the source super tag here, you can safely do this. It's still going to keep the source and topic fields here, because those are inherited from the through the book super tag from source. I think that's how you write them, right? Herbert, Melville, I think so. All right, so now the dude is an author. We click this and we have here, why does that not work? Author, parent. Did I use the wrong author field in my live search? probably. Oh, right. I want the one from inbook. I'm not sure where the unknown thing here comes from, but oh well. And now that is for parent. And now if we go to Herbert and delete this, this is also an important thing to note as you're working in Tana. I have this live search here for books written, right, for the author, and I've changed this. And the changes are not showing up here, right? What I can, because this instance of that live search now already exists. If I delete this, it's going to be recreated instantaneously with the now correct live query added here, right? So if you have a live search or a field or something that you have in the super tag and you change it and things aren't working, safely delete it in the instance that is acting up, and it's going to get recreated with the right settings. So now we have for authors all the works that they have created, and we can do the same for how to take smart notes. That is also a book, and the author is Sönke Arendts. And now if we go to Sönke Arendts' page, also has a live search for all the books that he's written. Fantastic. So we've set up authors as well. Any questions so far? Anything that's unclear in the process that we've taken so far? Anything that you find confusing? Let me know in chat. Let me actually quickly try something. Movie title, and then we do another title field. And now, if I'll explain what I'm trying to do here in a second. Looking for title. Yeah, so this is a good point that Faye brought up in chat. Is if you don't want to have fields like I have here in the source super tag, right, with source status, right, and if you really want to just have a status field here, what you can do is you can just call it status and put here in the description source status. And if you reuse, or if you want to add a status field to something, right? So I don't know, for some reason where we want to put the field in here. And if I now click for search for status, you see in the pop-up, it actually says, okay, this is a source status field that you're looking for, right? And yeah, you can totally do that instead of calling it directly source status. There was a reason why I did not do that, but I can't recall that reason right now. So yeah, that's a possibility of doing that. I'm trying to remember the edge case. I think there was, but that might also be a habit from like a year ago where there was an edge case, and now Tana's team has just made everything easy and beautiful, and I just haven't caught up with it in my habits. So that happens. All right, so we have we can delete this. And this we can delete as well. and we don't need that right now. All right, so we have different types of sources. We have highlights, authors, fleeting notes, and topics. Do I want to add anything else right now? Let me check here. All right, I think what we're going to do next is we're going to build dashboards. We're going to build things we can put into our sidebar or the daily node, so that we can have here an easy way to jump into and look at all our sources and highlights and that sort of thing. So I think the first thing that we're going to build is a bookshelf. So let's do that. Again, you can pull up emojis by typing colon, and then we're selecting books and calling this bookshelf. I'm going to format that as bold, and here I'm going to indent now a couple of different queries. So the first one, I'm going to look for bookmarks for current things that I'm currently consuming. And the live search that I'm building is I'm looking for anything that is a source, and we're looking for anything that is a source where the source status is or one of multiple statuses, and that is things that I'm currently reading, or where the status is that I'm currently watching, or where the status is that I am currently listening. And that gives me Moby Dick right now. That is something where, again, the status is watching. Right? Let's actually switch that to reading to make it halfway believable, although there is a movie, right? Yeah, which I haven't seen. So, okay, we have a current query here. Then the next one is going to be for things that are to read, one for to watch and one for to listen, right? So depending on what I want to do right now. So we're going to do the book stack again. To read, convert to search node. And again, we're looking for anything that is a source. And the reason that I'm looking for source here right now, instead of looking for a specific, like just for book or just for movie or what have you, is that as I have multiple types that can have the same source status, I can just look for things that have that particular source status, and then I'm done. I actually would not even have to use the source super tag here, right? Like I could just say status, so for the source status here, and then say anything where that is to read, and I'm done, right? And is that the reason why? Why does... okay, so there was a reason. I forgot that. Interesting. So if you look at anything where the status is to read without also looking for it to be tagged super tag, the super tag definition of source also gets pulled in, right? So if I select that, this shows up. Why does this show up? Because the default value of the status field here is set to read, right? And that's why the definition itself shows up. So, all right, add that here, and we're safe. Cool. All right, we're going to do the same for to watch and to listen. So one neat trick, if you haven't seen that before, if you type a question mark as the first character in any node, it pulls up this create search node button, and you can either click on that or select it through your arrow keys, and then you can search. So we're looking for anything with the source that is a source, and where the status field is to watch. We're going to film frames to watch, and we're going to do the same for CD to listen, convert to search node, and here we're going to look for sources again, where the status field is set to listen. All right, now we have a way to quickly jump in and say, okay, give me everything that's currently on my pile, that I'm currently reading, consuming, what have you, or give me just the things that are marked as to read, to watch, or to listen. And then what I also like to have is one where I'm looking for anything that is a source, but that I have consumed, right? So anything that is a source, again, an or clause, right? So anything where the status either is read, or where the status is watched, or where the status is listened. And here we're going to add a white check mark and call it done. Now, one thing that I'm not finding, how to take smart notes. To read. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. So we have currently reading Moby Dick. To read is how to take smart notes. And now if I check the status here to read, it's a mismatch for this search. I can clear that away, and it's going to show up here in this live search, right, in the done search. And as always, the cool thing, by placing this bookshelf node in my home node of this note-taking system built along workspace, I have that here in the sidebar, and I can easily jump into there. I can also expand it and jump just to the current live search or the to read live search or what have you, right? All right, how are we doing in chat? So far, so good. Nice. All right, so we have a nice bookshelf now that we have built. I'm getting a weird YouTube error. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I'm still live. Weird. Okay. All right, so we have our note-taking system. We have sources, we have highlights, we have authors, fleeting notes, topics, and concepts. One live search that I like to have in my note-taking system is in the calendar, in the day node, to have something that shows me all the notes that I've recently taken or created, and all the highlights that I've recently created. So let's set that up as well. So here we're configuring the day super tag, and I'm going to create 2 live searches here, one for fleeting note, and here we're going to create it last 3 days, and that's going to pull in all the recent fleeting notes that I've created in the last 3 days, and I have a chance to revisit, reconnect, do some more thinking on that. I'm going to put a nice dot there. And also what I really like to have is one for highlights. So recent highlights, and here we're going to look for highlight, and also created last 3 days. And also, like here, that's a good chance to look at that maybe. Tana recently did a really nice update where they give us these search operators here in a really nice drop down field, right? So we have by node type, we can look for node contents, so anything that has a tag, has a video or something. We can scope, checkboxes, created, last edited, so a bunch of different ways. Is there a keyword only way to get to the title of the search node after it's made? Yeah, just mouse or like arrow keys up and down, right? So 1, 2, arrow up gives you the node itself. I think there's no other special keyboard shortcut. It's just depending on how deeply nested you are here, it's going to be a couple of more arrows. Is there a way to... I don't think there's any special one. At least I don't know it. If someone knows, please drop it into the chat. That would be super useful. And yes, Adam. Adam is saying in the chat that search operators drop down is awesome, so useful versus reference help docs. Hell yeah. I really enjoy this as well. Super useful to have. All right, and now if I go to today's day node, I have 2 nice live searches here added for every day, where my recent fleeting notes show up and where recent highlights show up. And that means I can go in here, I can revisit, okay, here's a recent highlight that I took, 3 different types of notes that Sönke Ahrens is talking about. So different types of notes, and tag that as a fleeting note, right? And it's going to show up here as well. And if I go to tomorrow, both the fleeting note and the highlight will show up as well, because we're looking for things created in the last 3 days. All right. So from scratch, we've so far built sources, different types of sources. We've created highlights. Authors are now a thing with fleeting notes, topics, and concepts. And I think for now that actually is a useful overview of how to build these things. The one thing that I do want to cover is one command that I find useful, and use that as a quick introduction to using AI in your Tana workspace. So for topics here, right? Like we have different topics so far, and what we can actually do is that we go into the topics field here and make the topics field a little bit smarter. And we're going to make that an AI enhanced field. And let me quickly pull up my cheat sheet over here. Topic, I have that. No, I have that somewhere else. Topics. Okay, I don't know where I put it, but what we're going to do is we'll use AI to extract the topics from the highlight itself and have that fill out the topics field. So where is AI commands here? Get topics. There we go. What we want is a custom prompt here where we're going to say that I'm going to give you some text and I want you to extract topics from it, come up with at least one but no more than 3 topics for now. I think that's good. Return a list with all the topics that appear in the quotes. A list needs to be in Markdown code block, and every topic needs to be surrounded by double square brackets. Make sure to capitalize the terms, and then we're going to do here's the text and name, right? And now if we go to our highlight, let me actually view that from here. We have this highlight, right, to achieve critical mass, what have you, and we have the topics field here, and now we have this AI button here. Now, if I click this, it's going to fill in different topics and tag these. Now, the way I've written it, it doesn't yet understand that it actually needs to link these to actual nodes in my workspace. So let's fix that. Here, so for example, and here we're going to do paste as code. And now I have physics here, and I'm going to put another one here. Whoop. Activity theory. And that, in theory, should work. Yeah, we're going to keep plain text. Let's see what happens. So if I delete all of these, that hopefully works in Minecraft. Right, here we go. So by giving it this example here, right, where I'm saying I'm adding a code block that is plain text, where I'm saying, okay, please, the things that you return, right, like they need to be capitalized, and surrounding those by square brackets, Tana then understands the thing that it returns and creates nodes, tags these as topic, and links me to them, right? And that's so powerful. Like having that, you just plug in your highlights, it comes up. with topics, you can obviously add, expand, delete any topic that you would want, change fleeting notes to a concept or what have you. But just by having that one button click and it does that work for you, that is so powerful. The reason I'm wrapping it in square brackets is that behind the scenes, if the AI returns things in square brackets, Tana interprets that as, please check for a note that has that exact name, and if there is none, created, otherwise link to it, right? And what I tried before wrapping it in square brackets here, it was, I just told it, right? The list needs to be in a markdown code block and every topic needs to be surrounded by double square brackets. It didn't understand that alone, so I had to give it a code block formatted text here that showed it, okay, if you do it, please do it exactly like this. And that made it possible to actually get here nodes that are automatically linked. I hope that makes sense. One question in the chat, notice that you use title case on field names but lowercase for your super tags. Is this required or just a conscious decision you made to help separate, distinguish between the two? The latter, exactly, yes. I do that to distinguish between this is a field, an attribute, and this is the actual object that I'm dealing with. And for me, that makes things mentally much easier. I also don't, like, if I had a, if I have here a super tag that has multiple words, right? Like, I don't put any dashes in that or anything. Empty space, and I do that in fields as well. And you're completely right. This is purely for distinguishing. This is a field, and this is the actual thing. You could reverse that. I just find it nicer and easier to read, to have the fields or attributes, if you will, to be in title case and super tags in lowercase. How can you make it search for topics in your topic database? So this is, I assume that you're talking about the AI thing here. And that's the important thing to note. It does not search your workspace. Your workspace or like all the super tags that you have aren't sent anywhere or whatever. The only thing that the topics field AI here does is it comes up with the names for potential topics, like relativity theory or physics or what have you. And it returns these as markdown in double square brackets. And then Tana decides, with that list of things in double square brackets, okay, relativity theory already is, like, we already have a node that says relativity theory, so I'm going to link it. I don't have one that is called that is called physics, so I'm going to create the physics node, right? So there's no search in that sense going on. So you're not saying, okay, here's the text and here's a list of all the super tags and please match, right? There is a way to set that up. I think I have that figured out somewhere how to do that, but I don't know where, so I can't show you right now. And I expect this to be better eventually when Tana works on this somewhere. But right now it's important to understand. So thank you for asking. There's no search going on, right? The AI comes up with its own definition of like what interesting concepts might be, returns these, and Tana says, okay, this one I already have, link it, this one I don't, create it, right? And so it could be that if you already have something for, I don't know, some concept that you call, I don't know, struggling to come up with an example, but if you had a different name, so if you had something in a different language, for example, right? Like there's no way to come up with, to connect for the AI or for Tana to connect these automatically, right? So like Tana only looks at the stuff that the AI returns and then connects it to the things that it sort of thinks it can connect it to. But it's relatively simple in its approach to doing that. Yes, also a good question. Thank you, Adam. The name is indeed the highlight text itself, right? So whenever, like in the AI prompts, you can use title expressions like we can for defining that the source field here shows up. And I can include different fields as well. I'm not restricted to name, but name does refer to the name, to the text of the node that all these fields are attached to, right? And that the topic field runs on. Yes. No, okay. Now I understand the question. So the name, it really refers to the instance of this node and this text, right? It doesn't matter where the topics field is. Like if I have some other text, like it doesn't have to be a highlight. So let me pull something. Let me pull something in here. That is. Yeah, this is Obsidian from a workshop I gave earlier comparing Tana and other note-taking apps. So this is collective, quote on collective action, right? Like just some random text. I can apply the topics field. I set the topics field just on that node, right? It's not tagged as highlight or anything. I click AI and it's still coming up with things to put here, right? Like the name refers to this text on whatever field the topics field is, on whatever node the topics field that you're running the AI command is attached to. I hope that makes sense. Is there a way to add a search node to the prompt instructions to then check limit it to your database? Yes, there is. And we can actually, okay, then let's do this properly. So we have here the different topics that already are in here, but we can remove all these links and say in here are the different topics that you can choose from, and then we do a live search here. Nope, not to Supertag, but to convert to search node and look for topic. And that should work. Right, so now we have a live search in here, and we can look at, if we look at the prompt workbench, this is what actually happens, right? Like this is what gets sent to the AI. I'm going the text that I wrote, then here are the different topics, please choose from these, and here's the text, right? And so now if I click AI, it's going to select only from the ones that are already in my workspace. So if I, for example, project notes, right? Like we're going to delete this and remove that. And we're going to remove these as well. So right now, because it can only look for things that are here, like there's no project notes topic here. So it should not select that as a possible topic, right? And you see, that's what happens, right? So if you want to restrict it to only the topics that you already have defined, and not any new ones, this is the way you can do this, right? So in your prompt for your command, you include a search query that then returns all the different topics. You have to pay a little bit of attention to that because depending, like if you have like hundreds and hundreds of topics and you have like a really long highlight, eventually you might possibly run out of AI context window. That has never happened to me, at least I think, but just something to keep in mind. But I think for like the vast majority of people, this approach should be totally fine. Exactly. And Adam is saying in chat, and then you might want to tell it, you must be 90% confident, and if you don't find a concept in that list, but you're really sure that it's useful, please create a new one. Right, you can play with the prompt to your heart's content, of course, and adjust that to your liking. I'm actually not sure if you get like in the prompt workbench, it tells you, I think how many tokens there are. So that's probably the way to check them periodically, going in and figuring out whether you're hitting going anywhere near the limit. I think for 3.5 turbo, I think the limit is 8,000 or like 16,000. So I think in the vast majority of cases you're going to be fine, but definitely something to keep in the back of your mind. All right. I think that is a solid bare bones system that is AI enabled. We have talked about creating live searches for your different sources. We can do that for highlights or fleeting notes as well. Usually the way I work is that I actually indent my fleeting notes under the highlights and have a connection through that. I think in Tanarian Brain I've set it up to be even more powerful, and you can check that out. But I think for a bare bones system, this is going to take you very, very far already. I think I'm also going to share this as a template. Actually, this is cool. So let's make it a template live. Screw it, let's do it live. So to make a template, what do you have to do? Note-taking system, build a long template. For a template to work, you have to locate all the super tags under the node that you're going to publish. So right now, source and book and movie and podcast and what have you, they all live inside the schema node, right? So if I go in here, you see it lives in the schema, and that's something that we don't want when we are publishing a template. So if you want to share a set of super tags with people, you can move all of these under the node that you're going to share. So I'm selecting all of these, and again, Command K, bring reference node here. And now all of these are ready. We have generic fields here. We're going to do super tags, and then we're going to do bookshelf. We're going to nest that there. For the ones on the day super tag, we're going to create these again and then tell people to move them. So please move these live searches directly into your day super tag. And actually, fleeting notes, recent fleeting notes. We're going to bring reference node here for that as well, and then we're doing recent highlights. Awesome. And now we can publish this as a template. Yes, when I do bring reference node here, it also brings in all the fields, except of course those that live in a different place, right? So topic and title and icon are not brought in. Only the ones that the status field, for example, was brought in, but the generic fields here, those were not moved, right? So if you have a place where you have these in a different place, then you need to bring these over manually, basically, as well. Then the other important thing to consider when sharing things as templates is that you can do so only from a published workspace. So we're going to publish this as a read-only workspace, and you can't publish your primary workspace for data security reasons, right? You'd never want to accidentally publish your workspace. So you have to share templates from a separate workspace that you've set up. Right, and now I can focus into this node here and share as template. And you see here, this is the screen that you get. This template contains commands, but now I can copy the link to the template and I can post it into chat, and all of you all can use these as your super tags and use the fields and all that sort of thing. So that as a very quick introduction to templates and creating them and sharing them. Yes, one comment in question. Notice you kind of have to be careful with select all for bring here, since if something already exists there, it doesn't show you the command. Yes, that's a very good point. Like if I try to do bring reference node here, nothing happens, right? Cool. So this was a very quick, well, I don't know if it was quick. We've been going for an hour 20 or even almost 2 hours now. We've been going. So I'm not sure if it was quick, but I hope that it was useful. Useful intro for building a note-taking system from scratch. If you want a much more involved system that's much bigger, I recommend that you check out my template Tanarian Brain, and I'll quickly walk you through how that looks like. I have a full walkthrough video where I show you everything in detail. So I'm going to link that later somewhere around me here. But just as a quick overview, for Tanarian Brain, you get a time planning thing for half years, months, quarters, whatever you want. You get projects, active projects, project backlog, someday maybe projects, all of these things. You can configure a powerful task management system, all of that integrated both into Para, so Tiago Forte's system of projects, areas, resources, and archives, but also with GTD elements. So we have areas here and dashboards for all of the projects and resources associated with any area. Powerful goal setting system is part of Tanarian Brain. Resources, this is what we've built in the last little bit, with searches for related material, sources, notes, that sort of thing. You also get concepts and even another category that I call assets. We have archives where you can see all your completed projects and areas. Then the Zettelkasten with permanent notes and fleeting notes, with highlights and all the quotes and all your sources. The bookshelf that we built today is included. Then we have a very powerful system for the QCE framework from Professor Joel Chan for doing knowledge work and knowledge synthesis, starting with questions, looking at claims associated with those questions. So you have related claims, and also with powerful AI commands here, not just for getting topics, but countering a claim, right? Like click one button and you get logical, super powerful counters to any claim that you have in your research. Then a section for people so that you can keep track of your friends and family, your colleagues, authors, everyone in your workspace, experiments, things that you want to try out, whether that's in your fitness or in your work. A journaling setup, we have a year in review in here. So like it's a really encompassing template that hundreds of people have gotten tremendous benefit and enjoyment from. The link is down below this video, so please check it out if that sounds interesting. But of course, I'm going to also link the bare bones system that we just built in this session here, not just in chat. I'm going to put it below this video as well. Fantastic. One question in the chat: if we want to make our own Tanarian Brain from scratch, then the fundamental core course is for us. Did you tease an update or something to that coming soon? Yes, I did tease that. I was actually hoping to have that ready by today, but I don't. But yes, if you also link below this video is a course called Mastering Tana Core, where I do a very detailed walkthrough of the methodology that I used today in building this system, right? So really going in here and saying, what are the super tags that I need? What are the fields that I need? Distinguishing, okay, at what level do I do what? When do I do inheritance? How do I combine things? All of these things in terms of design of systems are covered in Mastering Tana Core. I'm working on an update. Given that I already teased it, I don't want to now commit to a specific date that I then don't make. But I'm working really hard on it. I hope it's very soon. And if you buy today, you will of course get that update for free. On the page for Tanarian Brain, there's also a bundle available, so you can get Tanarian Brain and Mastering Tana Core together and get updates to both. We have a fantastic support community, really smart people who use both and jump in with their own perspectives to questions that I asked. I try to be very responsive in answering any questions that might arise. And so yeah, please check out Tanarian Brain. It's linked down below. It's a fantastic template. Literally hundreds of people, from students up to CEOs and professors and venture capitalists have gotten a lot out of it. And yeah, I'd love for you to check it out too, and hopefully get a lot of benefit out of that as well. And with that, I think we're going to leave this stream. Thank you for joining. Thank you for hanging out with me and asking fantastic questions. This has been a blast, and I'm really looking forward to producing more content on Tana for you. I think there are amazing things coming down the pipeline. Just yesterday, I believe as I record this, Tana released their desktop app, which is fantastic. You can dictate into Tana from anywhere in your system. So whenever you have that fantastic thought coming into your head, hit a shortcut, say it out loud, it ends up in Tana, and it is amazing. Available for Windows, macOS, and different flavors of Linux, all in one go, ready for you to enjoy. If you haven't yet, also check out my video on Tana Publish, which is a fantastic way of sharing the things that you have in your workspace with people who don't have access to Tana yet, or with anyone else. I used it today to share agendas and notes and recordings for a workshop that I did on note-taking. That was useful. If you want to book me for a workshop for your company, please reach out, lucas@cortexfutura.com. Very happy to do so. And yeah, with that, again, thank you so much, and talk to you very soon.